For this demonstration, we are going to focus on how you use the out-of-the-box relativity customization capabilities to address a non-litigation workflow, such as a FOIA request. Relativity workspaces can be used for all types of document-related workflows. A fairly common use case for the majority of our government Blackout customers is to use Relativity and Blackout to manage their public request workflows. Here in our FOIA workspace, you can see that we are organizing our requests by folder, named based on the request ID. In the second tab, you will see a list of our FOIA requests. To get you started, we have built a simple request object that you can extend based on your specific workflow needs. Let's take a look at the request object by creating a new request. We have provided the most common fields we see in request workflows, including the request name, the request type, an assigned to user, which will be based on the users available within this Relativity workspace, a status field, the disposition of the request, the date the request was received, as well as the date the request is due to the requester, the requester name, if that, as well as any associated fees that are going to be charged to the requester, and of course a free-form description field here where we can give a little bit more data about what documents that the requester is looking for. If we go back to our list of requests, we can see that we can filter the requests that are assigned to me specifically in our view. And we can see that I have one new request that's been assigned to me, request 551. For our demo, I've already gone ahead and loaded the documents for this request, and you can see those associated to the request down here below. If this was a new request, we would create a new folder to house our documents, similar to our request 551 folder. And we'll take advantage of Relativity's document upload capabilities to go ahead and add these documents to our new request folder. The process of collecting the documents for the request is happening manually outside of Relativity using your current process for public requests. Once we have collected and loaded our documents for the request, we'll go ahead and use Blackout to redact our documents. We're going to go ahead and place some redactions for national security reasons here on our first document. So we'll be using exemption code 1 from the FOIA rules here. We've got a few pieces of national security information here on these documents. Go ahead and move on to our next document in the set. And we're going to redact some PII for our next two documents. So we've got some personally identifiable info here. We're going to go in and continue to use text-based redactions where we can define our exemption codes. So we're going to go ahead and pick exemption code 6 for our personally identifiable info. And we'll move on to our last document. We have a DEA form here requesting some info. And if we go ahead and scroll down, who's this Relativity Fest presenter here, Steve Ankenbrandt? That's definitely PII. We don't want that to be released with this document. So we're going to go in and put in exemption code 6. At this point, your request is ready to produce and deliver, at which point the request can be closed in the request queue. You're going to use your standard process here for producing these documents. So we'll go in and we'll set this one to production. We want to go ahead and let the team know ready to produce this request. We've done all of our redaction work. Production, again, as normal through Relativity, you'll use your standard production process based on your request folder to go ahead and package up and deliver your documents to the requester, at which point you can go into the request workflow here and close this request. I did want to take a moment to discuss text searchable PDFs, which are not strictly a FOIA requirement, but rather rooted in Section 508 requirements. If you do need to deliver your final production as text searchable PDF, we are recommending a workflow in which you PDF all of your documents in Relativity after collection into a subfolder. You can see that shown here in our documents folder for request 551 with our searchable PDFs folder. So again, we would go ahead and collect our documents as natives and load them into our Request 551 folder. And then we would go through the process of creating the searchable PDFs within Relativity. And we'll go ahead and review and redact those searchable PDFs and produce from the searchable PDFs folder. There's a mass action for converting these to PDF, which has been available in Relativity for many years. That would be your first option. But if you're on Relativity Server 2021, there is a new PDF application that's recommended by the Relativity team over that mass action. It does not come pre-installed, but you can download and install it from the Relativity community portal. So wrapping up our demo, I hope we were able to show that Relativity workspaces can be used for much more than standard litigation. Be it public document requests, internal investigations, or other interagency document requests, you can easily build your workflows for these processes into a Relativity workspace, thus maximizing your investment Relativity to aid in the many other e-discovery related activities that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis.